Good everyone, welcome to today's video, and today we have a discussion video. This is one that's not as serious as the ones I usually do, but I figured some of you might enjoy this one, but also I want to hear multiple different opinions about this. So I was out in my A-1H Skyraider the other day doing my 20,000 points for the Battle Pass Vehicle Challenge. All I'm saying is, if you're trying to do this in a Churchill, good luck, but, you know, we were kind of expecting the Churchill to be about average, but at the minute for me, I've had some right shit in that thing, but oh well. So I figured I'd use my A-1H Skyraider, and this also gives me a chance to play with the loadouts and things like that. Now, this is the final build of the bases only payload for this aircraft. And you will see you'll be seeing Mark 1 version in this. The main difference between the one in the replay that you're going to see is these bombs are World War II era, not the post-war era, and this centerline bomb rack is replaced with a single napalm bomb. So, why am I bringing the title of the video into discussion then? Was Joe in the wrong? Well, that's because of an incident that occurred when I was doing this in my very first flight. Now, for context, I was trying to get 20,000 points, as I said, and there was a bomber player on our team who was not too pleased with me. And he accused me of base stealing and also called me a cunt, which is typically one that I use, so it's a bit funny that I got it turned against me, so to speak. But I want to hear everyone's opinion about this. Do you think I was in the wrong to do what I did, or do you think it didn't even matter, and he could have easily gotten the base anyway? Let me know what you think, but anywho, let's move on to the replay and have a look. And welcome to the incident. So, as you can see in the chat, the player who's going to end up calling me a cunt is Food Consumer 3000. Probably explains why he was so pissed about this, because all he cares about is himself, but, you know. Let's break down the incident in general. So, as I said, this is my very first flight in the aircraft, and obviously you can see the difference in the payload here. So, when I was going through this, I thought, well, I'm not sure which base the B-17 player has called, because I wasn't sure. But I thought, well, I'll make my way over there, and maybe he'll tell me in chat, and to be safe, I won't drop fully on the first base, and you're about to see what I'm about to do. Some of you may disagree with this, but at the end of the day, I want to hear multiple different opinions, and personally, I don't think I did anything wrong here. So, now that you know it's him, I'm going to turn that part off. I'm also going to turn off the minimap just to give you more of an idea of the layout of the battlefield and everything. So I'm making my way over here, and as I said, I wasn't sure, so I thought I'll fly over here, maybe he'll tell me. And even then, I won't fully drop on this first base anyway, I'll target the second one. Which I think is a pretty fair thing to do, because then I can at least guess, and my guess was correct, but this is where it begins. So he says, "Oi, A-1H, are you bombing that base? Because I tagged it." So he at least let me know, which is good for me, and also I can still do what I was planning to do anyway. Now, before I continue any further, what I mean by that is I wanted to do this for both of us. I was not being selfish in this regard. And the thing is that we all need to work together to really benefit in this game, to be honest. And doing what I ended up doing, I think just helps everyone, because I didn't steal his base, as we're about to see, and most importantly, he had every opportunity to take out this base fully. The reason why is because the B-17G is a horrible plane to spade. I should know, I've done both the American and the Israeli one, so I know how it feels. And personally, I feel like this person just needs to grow up a little bit, because if I wanted to be malicious, I would have been. Anyway, let's continue. So, I say to him in chat, I'm only dropping the 250s, which you'll see in a second. I then use my secondary weapons keybind to switch to the 250-pound bombs. I then release the bombs accordingly. He then says, but it will still damage the base. Well, yeah, that's the intention. I'm not trying to steal your base. I'm trying to give you a hand, which is more than fair enough, because at the same time, you can then save a bit of payload, which you could potentially move on to another base and get 2 base kills rather than 1. But because he was too busy typing this entire time from this point on, he ends up dying to a tier 152H because all he does is complain about it. Let's see. Well, I'll let you see what really goes off. So after doing that, I make my way towards the base that I was planning to bomb. And right as my bombs are released, he is about to ping this base. He then says, I will get less bombing damage. Yeah, 100 SL worth. It doesn't make a difference. He then marks the base that I've just dropped napalm on. I then said, you get the base credit, which is negligible. We still get credit either way, which is true. We still get SL, we still get everything we need. That's the important part here. But as you can see over there, if you just missed it in the thing, I'm just going to pan the camera around. As you can see, the base has less than a quarter, only a little bit, it's a little tickle under a quarter, taken off of it. I've not stolen his base, I've bombed the base that I was intending to, and he never called that base that's right there. Only after my napalm bombs were released. So let's see what he has to say about that. I let him know that he loses out on like 100 SL. But if I go to his perspective, he's now turning actively towards a tier 152, is not paying any attention, and is too busy ranting at me, blaming me for all sorts of things. When if we actually look at what his bomber is carrying, he's carrying the 2,000 pound payload. Interesting choice, but this indicates to me that he was around half, if not 3/4 spaded. And with that bombing damage that I just did, it should only take one 2,000 pounder to destroy that base. So then he could drop on another base, if he would have actually engaged the tier 152 properly, and he could have easily dropped on this base, or this base, if he'd have actually shot at the tier 152, which he doesn't. But he could have easily gotten more points because I was going to go for these bases anyway, so we would have both benefited. That's what my plan was. But instead, he turns away from the base that was over here, as I said. He calls the base that I'd already dropped napalm on. He instead decides to turn away from this base and blame me for everything that is about to happen. I'm sorry, mate, but I cannot agree here. So let's go back to my perspective and continue on in the chat. So I'm now having to turn around because he's too busy whining, and I'm having to turn around and go towards the base that he hasn't dropped on. Now, I think he has the 2,000 pounders. However, as we're about to see in a moment, there is going to actually be a bomb blast near the base, which is odd because then again, no, the 2,000 pounders are external, aren't they, on that thing? Thinking about it, now that I've just remembered. And this is where he makes his accusation. And now I didn't get anything at all because you bombed my base. Thanks. Again, if I wanted to be malicious about this, that base plus the one that I was targeting would be gone. Simple fact, they'd both be gone. This thing can take out 3 bases on its own, which is insane. And the 250 pounders with the modification of my payload, of course, they will also do around about, I'd say, almost 3/4 of another base with the changes that I've done to this payload. And he's blaming me for everything that is happening here. And this is where I start to lose my temper, because I'm tired of people saying things like this. And then he says, fucking cunts steal my bases. And yes, I do lose my temper a little bit, which you shouldn't really do. But I said to him, you could have dropped on it, but you was too busy whining. Now I heavily suspect that that bomb that you saw a minute ago was possibly his. I'm not sure. However, I can't think of a payload that the B-17G actually carries that only has 3 bombs. So, unless he had the 6 1,000-pounders maybe, and his bombing accuracy is that horrendous, I guess so, but this base is going to be burned out by the napalm just on the right there. And if you're looking in the chat right now and thinking, Joe, you didn't need to do that, you're absolutely right. I shouldn't have really lost my temper, but he'd already left the match when I put that. But either way, I'm holding my hand up and saying that. But the main point of this video is that I just want to know if you think I was in the wrong for doing what I did in this game. And I mean the bases, of course. And obviously I tried to tell him that we both still get the credit, you only lose out on about 100 SL, and we both benefit from this. There's no reason to really lose your temper, in his case, over something like this. But clearly, that's just something that I think we could both probably look at, really, because I didn't need to lose my temper either, but to be fair, I'd had enough crap dealing with in that specific day. I'm not excusing it, but you get my point. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below of this incident, and, well, if we actually look at Food Consumer's player card, he's only a level 31. So, I would heavily suspect if we tried to find a B-17 here, let's have a quick look. So, here we are. 16 matches, 25% win rate, 10 deaths, 2 kills. And he has no ground targets, no naval targets, and judging by that little RP gain, I'm going to have to assume that he's been barely able to get stuff. The thing is, though, is that I never stopped him from getting his base. I helped him out, so I don't see the problem here, personally. But as I said, that's why this is a discussion video. So if you think I'm wrong, leave it in the comments below with reasoning. And if you think I'm right, leave your comments below with reasoning. And let's have a good discussion about this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video on if Joe was in the wrong. It's one that I've never really had to do before, but I kind of saw the opportunity with this one. And personally, I think this one could be a good little discussion topic just for the community to think about. But anyway, I'm going to leave you all to it. I hope you enjoyed today's video featuring the A-1H, and I will see you all on the next one.